from Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta, delivered within minutes right to your table. By the way, we're in the season for great patio dining. Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta has your table waiting.
News Talk STL. This hour of the Allman Report brought to you by STL Fenceworks, celebrating 50 years of industry-leading service for fence, deck, and leisure space solutions. Visit stlfenceworks.com. You're listening to the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
Give me land, lots of land under starry skies above. Don't fence me in. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in. Let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me off forever, but I ask you please. Don't fence me in. Don't fence me in. Just turn me loose, let me straddle my own saddle underneath the western skies. On my cayuse, let me wander over yonder till I see the mountains rise. I want to ride to the ridge where the west commences. Gaze at the moon until I lose my senses. I can't look at hobbles and I can't stand fences. Don't fence me in. Don't fence me in.
Well. Happy Tuesday to all of you and yours. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here, pleased and privileged to be with you. Snow Ponticus is over there at the controls.
Howdy, Jamie.
Yes, indeed. You drive a better ship than those Mexicans do. I'll tell you that one thing for sure. All the videos coming out now because everybody was on it because it's beautiful. Oh, my goodness. I mean, you were there on the Brooklyn Bridge, how majestic that was. Everybody's so shocked about that. So no, we won't. We won't delve deeper into that later on.
But you watch that video and you shake your head wondering, weren't you guys paying any attention? Didn't you even check the heights of the bridges before you decided to go down the river?
I know.
That was pathetic.
Where's the confounded bridge? Let me tell you something about radio. And the one good, special, little, intimate, old school thing about radio is that people still win prizes, Stell. You can still win a prize.
Amen.
Cracker Jack doesn't even let you win a prize anymore, right?
You can still call in and win, or you can access us online and win.
I mean, it's the greatest thing. So Jeff and Joe kind of go back old school. I don't even think some other stations, I think they've given up on doing it or whatever because all the liabilities and the corporate part of it. I remember working over at iHeart, and, you couldn't, it was so strict. Everything was so crazy that it was almost not even worth doing.
Which is why they went to national contests.
Yeah.
So you have even less of a chance of winning.
Yes. So I'm wandering around the guts of the operation here. And, of course, we know Vic and Ken's show finished up. A beautiful, wonderful show as always. And I'm walking into the studio, and there is an old friend of mine, longtime supporter of free common sense conservative radio. I've always been very grateful for Matthew Hicks as he oftentimes appears on the feed. You guys know his name there if you don't know his face. And I'm going, whoa, Matthew, what's going on? What are you doing here, buddy? And he's like, I'm picking up a prize because his Danielle won a prize. So what happened here? I mean, tell us the story, Matthew. And by the way, thank you for agreeing to kind of hang out still just for a few.
You are very welcome. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon this afternoon. I'm here in time for the 3 martini lunch.
Right on.
And just in time, too, to see Jamie as I walked into the studios here. I was picking up a gift card for Mario's Donuts in St. Charles that my wife Danielle won in the Mother's Day giveaway.
Yeah.
So I came in just in time to pick that up and just in time to join Jamie and Stell here on the air.
Yeah, so right on. Well,
good to see everyone out there. I guess you can see me now. I have a face for radio, so here I am.
You're awesome, buddy. I just love it. And thanks so much for your interaction when you have the time. on the show. And we were just talking yesterday, Stella and I, about how we don't know anybody who's ever won sweepstakes.
Mhm.
We don't know anybody who's ever won, a year's supply of groceries or gasoline, because I don't ever think it happens. But you can win a gift certificate here at Newstalk STL. So that's cool. That's great.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, thank you very much for doing it. Hey, what's on your mind, by the way, since I've got you here? I know that there's a million things going on. As far as you're concerned, what's concerning you? Or what are you thinking about the most, just as a normal, average, everyday American?
I would say right now my concerns are pretty local in that we just had that massive tornado sweep through not too far from your neck of the woods,
Yeah.
unfortunately. It kind of began not too far from where you live, I know, and then it proceeded into the city and into Forest Park and North St. Louis. And I'm just really kind of, just shocked and devastated by the destruction that I've seen, just what I've seen on television. I have not had reason to venture into the area, therefore I have not ventured into the area. And my heart just goes out to everyone who's been affected by this, the people who live in the area, people who work in the area. I am hoping, like you were talking about yesterday, that we'll get some real solutions for people up there soon. I think there are some, you could say, some public service companies that are kind of lagging in their response, and I'd like to see it stepped up.
Yeah.
I was happy to see Kara Spencer on TV yesterday talking about the accountability for the
FEMA.
Yes,
Yeah.
FEMA, exactly. And then also too the
sirens.
unfortunate, the fact that the sirens didn't operate. And I thought what was interesting about that too is I saw on local television a couple of days before that there were a couple of gentlemen talking whose homes were affected by this, and they were saying they heard the sirens on the test on Thursday, yet they didn't air on Friday when this storm was coming. And we're talking about an EF3 tornado, talking about 150-mile-per-hour
Yeah.
winds, a mile wide in some spots, especially once it gets up into like Fairgrounds and the Ville and some city neighborhoods like that. And I was just staggered by that. I thought, where is the accountability? Luckily, Mayor Spencer, I think, understands that, and I think she'll work to correct it. But
Yeah, and Josh Hawley was in town too,
Yes.
and calling for some accountability for FEMA. The siren thing is another example of like what we talked about yesterday,
that's right.
where you have a government system and you have a government supervised and regulated system, those two tandem systems, the utilities as well as the other people handling those kinds of critical things, basically taking people's money on a regular basis, monthly, yearly, whatever it happens to be. And then when the time comes for them to actually do something, they're not there.
Mhm.
And I compared it, of course, to all the tree people, because, they're all running around everywhere, have their money yet. The other
right.
people aren't running around anywhere because they already have their money. And I've got a little more details about what happened in St. Louis County. But to your point about the sirens, that's just simply unforgivable. That's something that the Board of Aldermen would need to hold a public hearing on and get to the bottom of this, because I believe the next time there is a Public Service Commission hearing, you'll notice that we never hear about when the hearings are. Those are all rate hike hearings, whatever.
That's right.
And the Public Service Commission is kind of one of these unelected kind of boards out there. You never know who's on it. And they're always giving Ameren the rate hikes. And so there's going to have to be, we're going to have to be on this.
Absolutely.
Absolutely on this, especially when you have a situation where you have people who are having the money. It's not because of any cuts. There have not been any cuts in the budget, whatever. They're just sometimes, I know with the county and the traffic department, there's been an issue with pay and getting good people in there. But for the most part, the people who are in charge are getting paid very well. They're getting their money every time.
Oh, definitely.
And not everybody
question.
has a TV, or, they're not going to be able to watch the weather people or those people in that church.
Mhm.
They're just doing their thing and probably felt like, well, I'm in a brick church.
Mhm.
Nothing's going to happen to me,
Right.
what have you. And of course, there was a certain level of where, as humans, we kind of underestimate the dangers of things sometimes.
That's absolutely true.
But the siren thing is not something that's not acceptable.
No.
Yeah.
The story of the lady in the church, that was just absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
And the thing I also thought too, though, I was pleased though to see Senators Holly Ann Schmidt come here to St. Louis, talk about also holding the insurers accountable as well,
Yeah.
because I foresee this being kind of a long, protracted rebuild, and it's great to see all of the feel-good stories. It's great to see help on the ground with people, helping them with their basic needs. I even saw, I think Tide laundry, I believe detergent was, they were offering showers and whatever to the citizens who've been affected by this. So it's encouraging to see all of this response and whatever. But at the same time, there's going to be such a long rebuild, and eventually this will follow the news cycle, yours, everybody else's as well.
Yeah.
And we have to come up with some solutions long term. It's probably going to take I would say a good 5 to 7 years, because we're talking about $1 billion+ rebuild. At just a baseline. So,
well, nobody is better at helping other human beings than human beings.
Absolutely.
And the government doesn't do it, can't do it, isn't equipped to do it. We know that, for instance, as it relates to FEMA, remember back in the day, and I can't remember what storm it was or what flood it was or what, tornado it was, but AB sent down a bunch of canned water down to this zone down there.
Oh, I remember that.
More quickly than any government agency or whatever. We saw what Trump did for some of the people there as he took a bunch of semis down there. Never forget back during the storm in Joplin. Jeff Hansen from Hansen's Tree Service. They took a caravan down there and just started taking care of trees, doing all that kind of stuff faster and more efficiently than the government ever could.
Oh, absolutely.
And so the problem is, though, we're paying the government, and they're not doing anything. So you might as well reassess whether or not they ought to be paid to begin with, and let just normal, average, everyday people do it.
That's exactly it. And that's why I think, too, that Missouri is very lucky to have senators like Josh Hawley, like Eric Schmidt, who understand the true limited role of government. They're here to help, but at the same time, they're also here to empower people so that they can help. And I think that's what we'll see in the coming months and weeks and whatever, is we'll see them provide the basic framework, and then I think we'll see a lot of people on the ground and stuff helping here. So, especially local businesses, like you said, too, the tree services, and they can't be beat either as far as that goes. So.
And Matthew, earlier, right before we went on the air, Matthew said, I saw some Ameren trucks on Conway Road. And I said, well, yeah, you'll see them on Conway Road before you see them on other roads in St. Louis.
Those were my thoughts exactly.
And everybody knows what that means in St. Louis. So
that's right.
That's how it goes. No offense to the Conway Roaders. I'm just telling you, priorities are priorities sometimes.
That's right.
All right. So Matthew, the donut shop again is what is it again?
Mario's Donuts in St. Charles. Yes.
All right, man. That's good. Well, I hope you enjoy those.
Oh, I'm sure we will.
Tell Danielle thank you for playing.
Yes.
And certainly appreciate you listening to the show and being able to hang out for a little bit with us.
It was a pleasure to do so. I appreciate it.
Buddy. Well, safe travels out there. What do you do for a living, by the way, Matthew?
I work in accounting. So, I just had the day off running some errands because my daughter is taking her finals. So 8th grade graduation's coming up. So, looking forward to that.
Our daughters go to the same school. And so we're in the same kind of mode. I see every once in a while over at the school.
Yeah.
And I remember finals. I don't remember. So when I was a kid, we didn't have like 8th grade graduation. It was basically like, okay, time to go to high school.
That's how it was for me as well. Times have changed.
We didn't have it, the fancy 8th grade graduations, but I'm not complaining. I'm just saying we didn't have it, but that's special for them as well.
Definitely.
All right, buddy. Well, Matthew Hicks, thank you so much. Appreciate you. And thank you for your continued loyalty to the show and to the brand and obviously to News Talk STL in general. And always love seeing your name up there in the highlights on the Facebook page, but appreciate you being with us here.
Thank you, too. Happy to be here.
All right. That is the
Thanks,
great
Matthew.
Matthew Hicks, listener to the Allman Report and, of course, News Talk STL and winner of the gift certificate to Mario's Donuts. So you can win. It does happen. We have proof of all of that. All right. Okay. You're going to drag me kicking and screaming into the Biden cancer story, aren't you? Okay. I've just got a different take on it. We'll talk about that in just a few. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
How many bridges I got to cross? How many times must I explain myself? Or I can talk to the boss. Or I can talk to the boss. How many times must I say I love you? Oh, you finally understand. Won't you be my poor little woman? I'll try to be your forever man. Try to be your forever man.
voices, opinions.
Do you think Democrats should continue to go to El Salvador?
I'm planning on going. We are mobilizing.
Repeated, documented human trafficking and human smuggling offenses.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, indeed. I thank Window World. Absolutely thank Window World for supporting free, common sense, conservative radio. And I got to tell you, man, when it comes to Window World, there is nobody better than Window World in terms of your prices. And when I say best for less, that's absolutely what I mean. It is absolutely the best for less. So let me tell you something about Window World. All you have to do, they're the official window of the St. Louis Blues. And all you have to do is dial 314-993-1800, and you are in the thick of things in getting your windows. These are double paid windows. These are windows that are thermally superior to all the rest. These are windows that are durable, and even the hardest of hail, it will not be breaking these windows. So I want you to make sure that you know that Window World not only is the official window for the St. Louis Blues, not only the best for less, but also the window that has the Good Housekeeping seal of approval, and also absolutely the impression from the Remodelers Magazine, Qualified Remodelers Magazine, as they are definitely impressed, ranked #1 in the number of windows sold in the country. And they also have a really great deal for you. And this is a 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. And on top of that, it's Window World, people. They support free, common sense, conservative radio. You can't go wrong. Check it out. It's Window World, windowworld.com. And, of course, also making sure that you dial them at 314-993-1800.
Success. It's discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us that comes before all recognition. It's the best in each of us, made better by the best in all of us. Whatever success looks like to you, Stifel is invested in yours. That's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management firms in the country. So whether you're an advisor or an investor, choose Stifel, where success meets success. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Thank you for the opportunity to let me vent here.
Live and local.
Way to be, guys. 1019 all the way.
This is News Talk STL.
I am home.
This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
Well, the tinkling of the tinkling tinkles.
The Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
Tinkling of the tinkles.
The tinkling of the tinkles. I like Dave Elias's idea. St. Louis needs to bulldoze those buildings and build a bunch of 4-family flats, urban development, and use the Rams money to do it. Oh. Of course, it takes Dave to think about that one, but nobody in government or economic development or any, St. Louis City Inc. or whatever it is they have there, they'll never think of that.
I remember years ago when they redid the McCree neighborhood.
Yeah.
On South City, just north of 44, off of Grand, demolished all those decrepit buildings that were there and made it into a nice little neighborhood.
Yeah.
That McCree neighborhood, which used to be awful.
Yeah.
It would be nice to see that happen here also.
And the problem in the city of St. Louis is that it is, in many cases, ungentrifiable. So when you look at what has happened with the McCree neighborhood, when you go way back in time and look what happened with Soulard and how younger families, my sister and my brother-in-law were one of them, younger families who came into Soulard and were living there. My sister lived on Victor Street, and they remodeled a 2-family flat and remodeled the entire thing. And a lot of people did that. They homesteaded in Soulard, and look at Soulard now. The reason why, and I mean, if you look at places like Harlem or Brooklyn, which are, kind of probably the quintessential examples of gentrification, if you look at those particular places, you'll realize that St. Louis on the near north side, and again, this would be a really good deal. I mean, I'll give an example to the city people. Instead of constantly building stadiums, why don't you start building actual homes that people and developments that people can actually live in? That would be a better idea. No crack on the stadium people, but you know what I mean. I mean, we can't just be a city of stadiums and attractions. And so, as you full well know, because eventually, you go down to the Dome, you go down there for the boat show, and half the friggin' people have their cars broken into and their guns stolen and everything else. So anyway, the near north side, the Hyde Park neighborhood of St. Louis, is a wonderful place. It's kind of where Crown Candy Kitchen is. And Crown Candy Kitchen is an oasis in a sea of dilapidation. And it's because Paul McKee bought up a bunch of property there, held on to it because Clarence Harmon wanted to maybe build a golf course up there. So Paul McKee bought up all this land and then just it sat on it. So you couldn't, even if you wanted to buy a flat to rehab or whatever near Crown Candy Kitchen or at Hyde Park near that beautiful church or whatever, you couldn't do it because Paul McKee had all of it. So, that's the problem sometimes when you are sometimes bordering on a cow town like St. Louis, is you don't have really smart people at the administrative level who are doing things that are productive and, dare I say, progressive in terms of urban development and everything else. And so you have all these fiefdoms at the Board of Aldermen, and they finally cut the Board of Aldermen in half practically, because at one point we had 26 aldermen in the city of St. Louis with 300,000 people in it. So anyway, sometimes it does take some vision and things like that to really truly create a great city. And it takes people who are not a bunch of backwoods cowtown inhabitants who think it's a good idea to sell miles of property to one guy. that would help. And that's been the problem. So that's why the near north side has no gentrification, no people living in it, just a bunch of burnt out, vacant pieces of property that at one point was supposed to make Paul McKee a ton of money. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons why we're in the situation we're in. All right. I will tell you that, Joe Biden's cancer thing did prompt me to think about making an appointment for a prostate exam. I mean, that's probably one of the good things that came out of all this is, because you had a couple people. You had the Dilbert guy, and then you had Joe Biden, who have prostate cancer that metastasized.
Mm-hmm.
Metastasized. Sounds like it's a made-up word. But anyway, to their bones. And that means you let it go a long time, and, it's been around a long time. Because prostate cancer is probably one of the more forgiving cancers around. And if it got to the point where it goes into the bones, you've waited a long time.
Every physician I've heard over the last day or two has said this has been going on for years. They won't admit to it. The administration, Biden family, won't admit to it in public, but it's evident.
Yeah.
And that includes Zeke Emanuel, who's Rahm Emanuel's brother, who's a physician.
Yeah.
And others who have commented on it said that, no, this has been going on for quite a while. They can try and cover it up, but that's not the case.
Well, and I'm not quite sure that generally people have to know if somebody has prostate cancer or whatever. I don't personally believe that, but it was bad and did get to a point where it became a thing health-wise. For him, and at that point, nobody told anybody. And then in the meantime, you have like CBS News, this medical contributor and a member of the Biden transition team. Now they're just making stuff up as they're being interviewed about why there wasn't a PSA test done on the president, which is hard to believe it wasn't done. It almost certainly was, but yeah. Is this? Oh, I didn't have this plugged in. I was so excited to have Matthew, and I didn't plug my computer.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have to do that on the fly here. Yeah, I just was so excited.
It's the magic of live radio.
Yeah,
There we go.
Why live radio is so important to our lives, because you screw up and everybody can see it.
Thought it took a while to do that. Wouldn't he be getting regular checkups?
Yeah, so it depends on the kind of cancer you're talking about here. We do know it's quite aggressive again. So the time in which it would take to spread to the bones is going to be shorter than with a less aggressive cancer. And he's 82. Normally, doctors will stop screening for prostate cancer at 75 or so, because after that, the prostate cancers you typically pick up are very slow growing. And so the harms of all of the testing and treatment for something that may not kill you, you're talking about risk versus benefit. It may not.
But a PSA test does no harm.
I'm
Okay.
calling bogus on that, by the way, because this is the president of the United
Of course, we're
States.
just about to here.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I'm playing it.
Okay.
The PSA tests do not do any harm, by the way.
Not be worth the risk.
Isn't there a blood test that men can take to know if they have an issue that might warrant further examination?
So there's something that we call a PSA test, but that can also be indicative of many different things. It could just be you have an enlarged prostate. Maybe you have a low-grade infection in the prostate.
And you'd want to find out if it's an enlarged prostate or a low-grade infection or whatever.
Things that can cause that. And so this is, again, why after a certain age, doctors will typically stop screening for prostate cancer.
Wow.
But in his case, it's not screening. It's important to emphasize this was diagnostic because he had urinary symptoms. And so there was a reason to do more testing.
Quickly, what is your final message to men of a certain age?
Yeah, get it done. Anyway, she said, to save money. And this sounds as bullcrappy as James Comey's excuse for what he did. But again, we don't have to belabor it. But at the same time, you got to understand that this is still something. It's not about the cancer. It's not about Biden's troubles. It's about the lying about them. And really what we're finding on down the line, it doesn't matter whether it's Comey or anybody else, what we're finding is that people, not only people in government, but also in the media, just reflexively lie. And as I said before, they just kind of pretend there is a world out there that they have created that actually exists, and we're not supposed to notice that it's bullcrap. It's kind of like, again, I go back to the golden helmet moment, where Man of La Mancha takes the shaving basin, calls it a golden helmet, and we're supposed to believe it's a golden helmet when we know it's not. It's a shaving basin. We know that. But it's kind of like the government and the news media has basically collectively taken on the lying face of a 9-year-old. Where that's kind of what little kids do. They will, they'll. It's kind of like what I did when this is really stupid because I was really a stupid kid. And I would take a lot of unnecessary risks. So one day, my dad actually loved these plants, and they brought these plants home. And so my mom and dad were out to dinner, fortunately with the family doctor and his wife. They were good friends and also first cousins. And so I'm being babysat by my sister Luann. And for some reason, I don't know why, and it might have been because I was told it was a poisonous plant, so I just kind of wanted to see what would happen. I bit into a leaf of the poisonous plant, and then I went out to play. And while I was out to play, my mouth started burning really badly. And I didn't understand what was going on, but I knew it had to be related to the plant that I bit into, which was the stupidest thing on the planet. But I did it anyway because I'm a stupid kid. It's probably about 8. And so I go out to play. My mouth is burning. I come back and tell my sister Luann that my mouth is burning. And I tell her what happened. And I tell her that I accidentally bit into the plant. Now, that's what an 8-year-old does. They figure, well, I just will tell them that I accidentally bit in to the leaf of the plant. And of course, it's completely implausible, a total lie. And even at 8 years old, I knew that I didn't want to impugn my brain that much by admitting I purposely bit into a poisonous plant just to see what would happen. And it wasn't like I had a death wish or anything. I was just like, oh, yeah, I just bit into it. And, but imagine, so I'm 8 years old. I think I tell my sister, like, she's going to buy it, that I accidentally bit the leaf of a poisonous plant when there's no friggin' way you can accidentally bite the leaf of a poison plant. Like my head was suddenly just pushed into the plant. I bit it. Blah, blah. So anyway, fast forward. That's the main part of the story. And then the epilogue is that my sister called the restaurant because, they didn't have cell phones then, but she called a restaurant where my parents told them they would be. And immediately they came out of the restaurant, pulled up, and in the meantime, they told Luann to feed me a gallon of chocolate milk so I could throw up. And I'll never forget having to drink that chocolate milk in excess to the point where I was throwing up in the bathroom, and that apparently was going to be the cure of me. And from that day on, I've never consumed chocolate milk. I will tell you that. So, I might go back. I could go back to it, since when I was 14, I got drunk on bourbon at one of my friend's house. And I didn't go back to bourbon probably for another 25 years, but I eventually did go back to it. So there is hope that I could go back and drink chocolate milk. And so I still can't do it to this day. And it was a big drama and everything else. But the bottom line is the nugget of this story is that I told my sister this lie that nobody believed. And that's really the collective attitude of the news media and our government and everybody else. That, they'll tell you a lie right to your face, and you're really supposed to believe it. And everybody on the other end, the us peasants, are like calling BS every step of the way. And that's been the frustration of it all. This is interesting, though, too. So apparently Joe Biden is diagnosed with cancer, and we all have to go into a period of mourning somehow. Like, we can't talk about anything negative about Joe Biden. That's the scolding media. Hey, we're so divisive. But if you look at the juxtaposition of this May 2025 bit on looks like MSNBC, and then a July 2024 bit on ABC, look at the difference between how people in the media collectively react to when something bad happens to somebody. So if you're a Democrat and you're Joe Biden, something bad happens to you, we all must zip our lips. That's what we must do. But in the aftermath, the very day, 24 hours after Trump survived his assassination attempt, you'll hear what ABC had to say about it. So first, MSNBC.
Say that even a cancer diagnosis, and again, it's touched, it seems, virtually every American, whether a friend or family or personally, that even for a day, there's no pause on the divisiveness.
Yeah, it's that kind of polarized moment, right? But it does feel like this particular moment, given the diagnosis, highlights just how politics shades everything, even a human moment when a family is going through what this family is going through, of course.
Yeah, so, again, that's all built into the fact that we need to not say anything bad about Democrats, anything bad about liberals or the left, because Joe Biden has prostate cancer. Baloney. Because even if you did take that tact, what happened when Donald Trump was almost murdered on live television 24 hours after? This was the attitude of ABC News.
President Trump and his supporters have contributed to this violent rhetoric as well. Well, absolutely, George. We were just looking back this morning at some of the things that former President Trump has said. He warned last March of potential death and destruction if he were charged by the Manhattan District Attorney. Our country is being destroyed as they tell us to be peaceful. Trump in January warned of bedlam in the country. If the
You get the drift here, right? You'd think that after the near murder of a presidential candidate, that there would be at least 24 hours, right, of any kind of criticism of him or fomenting of even more divisiveness or divisiveness, as all the elites call it, or anything else. And yet there was no limit on what negativity when it came to the aftermath of Donald Trump's thing. So we've got that bull crappery out of the way. You're listening to the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Happy to have you with us and hanging out with you. We'll keep you updated on the possibility of some more storms today. Doesn't look very severe, though, right? Still?
It looks as though we'll have some storms between maybe 1 and 2 this afternoon going until 7. So let's say 2 until 7 in the metro area.
Okay.
But the chances of rain that I've seen were only between 15 and 30%. So it's not like it was late last night.
Yeah.
Which was intense.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. It was. Sirens were going off last night.
Indeed.
Where I was.
Mm-hmm.
Clayton, Richmond Heights area there. All right. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
Speak a little louder, I'll even shout. You know that I'm proud and I can get the words out. I want to be with you everywhere. I want to be with you everywhere.
Talk about race relations.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity. And I'm sick and tired of it.
1019 and 94.1.
I find it to be a conversation starter.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to the meeting between me and Brian Ammon there at O'Fallon Family Floors, O'FallonFamilyFloors.com, right there off of Highway K. So here's how it's going to roll. On Friday morning, I'm going to meet up with him, and we're going to shoot a little video at his place, and I want to put it on Facebook and do that kind of thing and show you exactly what it's like to see the variety and the wonderful quality of all that is there at O'Fallon Family Floors. Show you the truck that they use to come to your doorstep with the wooden plank samples or the vinyl plank samples or the laminate, the hardwood, you name it, where you can really see what it's going to look like in your home. That's the kind of great service that is provided by Brian Ammon and O'Fallon Family Floors. They are absolute winners, not only in the diversity of their products and the choices you have, the variety you have, which is much better than the box stores, but also in terms of the pricing. Brian has been known to be able to beat the big box stores by a couple grand. And I got to tell you, it's pretty amazing. On top of that, the professionalism, all you have to do is go on Google, look at the reviews, and Brian is very, very sensitive about making sure that everything is done right. In fact, when you do a job, every single measuring job is done by the owner of the company. He comes to your house and does all the measuring. So anyway, how it's going to roll out on Friday is we're going to be having some fun that morning. And then later on in the morning, Brian is going to come to my house because I just have one little simple thing that has to kind of be done. And that is a step that has kind of collapsed, but I have no idea how anybody could fix it, but I know that O'Fallon Family Floors could absolutely fix it with their expertise. They will beat the big box stores every time. And I'll tell you what, quality, personalized service, and price on down the line. O'FallonFamilyFloors.com, O'FallonFamilyFloors.com.
This Memorial Day weekend, bring your crew to Busch Stadium to see the Cardinals take on the D-backs. May 23rd to the 25th, catch great promotions all weekend long, including a Mason Win bobblehead and a Kid City Connect jersey giveaway. Kick off your summer with ballpark hot dogs, ice-cold beers, and entertainment for the whole family. Tickets are available at Cardinals.com. This is how summer is meant to be. See you at the ballpark.
This is Alec Burleson, St. Louis Cardinals, for the Lou.
Hey parents, looking for something fun and unforgettable to do with the kids? Bring the whole family to a Cardinals game at Busch Stadium. From kid-friendly activities and giveaways to awesome promotions like Kids Run the Bases. Your little ones will have a blast, and so will you. Check out Family Sundays, presented by Smithfield, where select tickets include a free jumbo hot dog and soda. There's nothing like sharing the magic of Cardinals baseball together. Make your memories this summer at Busch Stadium. Tickets are available at cardinals.com.
Hey, Mike Ferguson here, and for nearly 40 years, Nutrition Stop has been St. Peter's trusted source for natural living. They've got a great, knowledgeable staff offering more than just products. They provide guidance on your wellness journey with exceptional service, from 100% grass-fed meats like elk and bison and local produce to quality supplements and clean household products. 4101 Mexico Road in St. Peter's, just off the interstate at Cave Springs and Highway 70.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
Trump says after phone calls with Russia and Ukraine, negotiations start moving to a ceasefire.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. The Allman Report on News Talk STL.
We hear you're leaving, that's okay.
Man, what a great band. Steely Dan. Man, dude.
So much creativity.
Yeah. It's really fun that you kind of get back into like a Steely Dan. I heard some Steely Dan cover band not too long ago. And I'm thinking, man, that is really good. I want to go back to listen to the original Steely Dan.
Mm-hmm.
But they're fun to cover for people who are talented enough to do that. Donald Fagen and who's the other guy? I don't know. But anyway, I one time watched a video.
Sorry, can't remember.
Yeah.
I wanted to say Wayne something, but that's not right.
No. No. But yeah. Anyway, I remember seeing a video, and apparently Michael McDonald at one point was doing piano for them or something. And Walter Becker, there you go. Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you, Phil.
I was close. I was thinking Wally.
So Donald Fagen and Michael Becker, these guys were so intense about every little detail about their music. I mean, they were really super intense. And if I remember the story right, Michael McDonald was playing the piano for them. I don't know whether it was on one album or what it was, but Michael McDonald later on recounted, he said, I had to do stuff over like 25 times just to make sure it was absolutely right. It was not unlike
Tom Scholz from Boston.
Yeah.
Who is very much a perfectionist
Yeah.
in the studio. You're right.
It was not unlike Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys.
Yes.
I mean, everything had to be absolutely right. You don't realize actually until it actually comes through and you hear it, how actually different it would sound if it were different. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like even the Wouldn't It Be Nice? I remember playing that from Pet Sounds, and just getting that timpani in the beginning absolutely right was critical to making that song work, you know. But yeah, these guys, something else. And I think that's one of the reasons why they rarely toured too.
That's true.
Because everything was so technical. It wasn't electronic, you know, it wasn't like they were faking it. It's in the studio. It's just that everything done in the studio was so technical and everything else that they
to try and duplicate it live.
Yeah,
it's pretty tough.
Yeah, and they didn't want to do that because they were some guys, you know, with their music, they'll go out and do it live. It's more fun to do that. Sometimes things change; they sound a little different, but they did not want anything to sound different ever than what it was. It's kind of like has to be this way. All right, haven't had fun with some. Whenever Trump's relaxed, I love it so much. And this is him at one of these events. and he's talking about the 2020 election. I'm glad he still talks about it being rigged, because it was. And I'm not a member of the group of people who are afraid to talk about the election being rigged. Remember, we were all shamed into not talking about the election being rigged. Don't talk about that. Don't talk about that. It's a conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy. And we know it was. It's one of those things where you know that it was absolutely rigged. The mail-in voting was a scam. And the mail-in voting came as a matter of taking advantage of COVID. And they used COVID to try to steal the election. And that's what it is.
And what else did we hear? Don't look back. Don't look back.
Yeah.
We got to look forward.
Yeah, right. And of course, if you don't look back, then you don't learn, and it happens again. So I think it's good to still keep talking about it and everything else. Oh, speaking of looking back, though, I did see an interesting little thing the other day. It was a picture of a radio host and her husband with Kid Rock and Lauren Boebert, and apparently Lauren Boebert and Kid Rock are dating. I think I might put it on the web, because this person who used to be in St. Louis is now acting like she's always been like a Trump fan. She's hanging out with Kid Rock and everything else. And, I was talking to my buddy Phil Valencia last night, showed him the screenshots of it, and also showed him the screenshots of the National Review. And you remember the headline, "Against Trump"? Look it up on the web, right? And get a screenshot of the cover. And look at the names that are underneath the Trump must be stopped. And you'll see all the people that wanted to take Trump out. And then you'll see the same names acting like that never happened. Like they never were against Trump, and now they're hanging out with Kid Rock. And it's like, whatever. I guess it's good that they learn eventually to come around, but there's a lot of people like that, man. So many people who just act like, oh yeah, I've loved Trump all the time, and they're like, riding this wave. But if it were up to them, we'd never have Trump. We'd never have the freedom from the uniparty and the government construct and everything else. And it was funny. I had a really good conversation. You'd enjoy this one. With my mom last night, because we always get together, have some vodka on Monday nights, and read Bible passages from that Sunday before she goes to bridge. And we had a very interesting conversation about the Pharisees and the Sadducees that I'll have to dig into a little later on, because I think you guys will enjoy it, because it's very, very similar to what we're living in now. And our world is occupied with Pharisees and Sadducees who never wanted change, wanted to be the big dogs, and would do anything to stay that way. And they're still around, but just in different formulations. Anyway, President Trump here.
And we got the Olympics, and then we got through Johnny, who's the boss. He's a friend of mine. We got the World Cup. I got them both. And I said, man, I won't be president. I got the Olympics and the World Cup, and I won't be president. And they're going to forget that I got them. Nobody's going to mention it because, a little bit, that's the way life is. And then they rigged the election. And then I said, you know what I'll do? I'll run again, and I'll shove it up their ass. And that's what I did. And all of a sudden, I then realized, I said, you know what? I got the Olympics, I got the World Cup, and I got the 250th. Look at the way this works out. So if they would have left us alone and wouldn't have cheated on the election and wouldn't have rigged it, I would have been retired right now. I would have been happily doing something else. And instead, they have me for 4 more years. Can you believe
it's so true too, because it's so great. It was aside from stealing the election, the theft of the election will also go down as the biggest blunder that the Democrat Party ever made in its history. Because as he points out, had they just let him do that second term, it would have been a tough term anyway, because we're still 2 ways into the COVID and everything else, and it would have been kind of like an invisible second term for him, except for maybe the next 2 years. And instead, they allowed the big reset. And now they're about to go the way of the Whigs. Good job, Democrat Party. What a bunch of idiots. But there are kind of idiots, so we love them for that. Thank you for your idiocy. This is Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report, and the 3 Martini Lunch on to number 2.
Experience the true flavors of Mexico at Dos Primos, O'Fallon's premier Mexican restaurant. From sizzling fajitas to homemade caldo de pollo, every dish is crafted with the freshest ingredients and traditional recipes, all made fresh daily in our kitchen. Cool down with our famous margaritas or your favorite cerveza, while our friendly staff makes you feel like family. Dine in or carry out. Visit DosPrimosMexicanRestaurant.com or find us on North Main in O'Fallon.
Renewal by Anderson has a great deal for you. $279 off every window, $729 off every patio or entry door. No payments, 0 interest for 18 months. Anderson products increase a home's value by at least 15%. Renewal by Anderson is the full-service window and door replacement division of Anderson. RBA STL. RBA STL.
Public schools, like public libraries, should be free and open to all. Open enrollment allows parents to choose the school that's the best fit for their children. Maybe another school has a wider curriculum, is bigger or smaller. Maybe a kid is being bullied and would be more comfortable at another school. 75% of parents favor open enrollment. Open enrollment programs now exist in 43 states, and Missouri should join them. Our next-door neighbor, Kansas, has one of the strongest open enrollment policies in the nation. Kansas parents are trusted with choices and options, while Missouri parents must move out of their home to change public schools. And it's a trend. Nationwide, the percentage of students going to their chosen public school has steadily increased. Assigning kids to schools based on their zip code is the old way. Open enrollment is a better way. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. President Trump has lobbied House Republicans to unite to support over his big tax cuts bill. He says it was a great gathering.
That was a meeting of love. Let me tell you, that was love in that room. There was no shouting. I think it was a meeting of love. The things that we talked about, people felt a little the other, not a big deal. And it wasn't so much a speech, points.
That package includes breaks and reforms to Medicaid, food stamps, and green energy programs. All Democrats are opposed. Also at townhall.com, the European Union has agreed to impose fresh sanctions on Russia, notably targeting almost 200 ships from the Russian shadow fleet.
Officials say Russia uses these ships to skirt Western restrictions imposed over the war on Ukraine. The 27-nation bloc are targeting 189 ships in all and imposing asset freezes and travel bans on several officials, as well as a number of Russian companies. The measures have been endorsed by EU foreign ministers in Brussels.
That's correspondent Charles De Ledesma. At a news conference, the UN's Jens Laerke confirms more aid trucks are approved across into Gaza.
We expect, of course, with that approval, many of them, hopefully all of them, to cross today to a point where they can be picked up and get further into the Gaza Strip for distribution.
Under pressure, Israel agreed this week to allow a minimal amount of aid into the Palestinian territory. Meanwhile, Israel also pressing ahead with its new military offensive in Gaza, despite mounting international criticism. The Dow dropping 98 points. The NASDAQ composite is down 71. More on these stories at townhall.com.
3 years ago, I wrapped up a run of Annie playing Daddy Warbucks with the South Carolina Children's Theater. I was about 40, 50 pounds overweight, tired, sick, fed up with the way I felt. Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I had to do something. I scheduled my weight loss consultation with PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition. And as they say, the rest is history. Just a few months, I lost over 50 pounds. I took control of my health. 3 years later, I've kept the weight off and I feel better than ever. If you are where I was, do what I did. Call PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition. It'll change your life. It's fast and simple. They won't let you fail. Just give them a call at 855-696-2020 to schedule your weight loss consultation. That's 855-696-2020. 855-696-2020. Here's the best part. First 11 callers who mention the keyword healthy will get 2 free weeks added to their weight loss package. Don't wait. Call today. 855-696-2020. Mention healthy to get 2 free weeks or visit them at myphdweightloss.com.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
We do not expect as many storms this afternoon, but those storms that do form have the potential to become severe. The primary threat from these storms would be large hail, but destructive winds or an isolated tornado are certainly possible as well. Now, the good news is any rain should be ending as a front clears our area by this evening. We should stay dry overnight tonight, and Wednesday through Friday this week should be dry before we get back to a rain chance over the Memorial Day weekend, but we do not expect severe storms. I'm KMOB First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Tim Jones here from my great friends at Comprehensive Chiropractic, the premier chiropractic and sports performance facility in the region. How do I know? Simply put, they've helped me on many occasions. Here's another solution to your everyday aches and pains. The Studio Health and Wellness Center. Services include Pilates and yoga, both with certified instructors. I can also highly recommend the massage therapy, which is not an indulgence. It's a proven method of healing and restoration. Trust my friends at Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, cchiropractic.com. That's cchiropractic.com.
Getting new flooring can be exciting, or it can be a hassle. To make sure you have a great experience, use Michael's Flooring, like I did. Hi, it's Susie Moore, and Michael's Flooring has become my go-to for quality, variety, and an all-around great experience. They've been locally owned and operated for more than 30 years. Carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, natural stone, luxury vinyl, it doesn't matter. Michael's Flooring is ready to help. 3 locations to pick from: St. Peter's, Darting Prairie, and Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloor.com. That's igotfloor.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Bunny Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Bunny Radio every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeBunnyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
News Talk STL. Always streaming on your smart speaker, our mobile app, or newstalkstl.com. This hour of the Allman Report brought to you by Proctor Drapery Blinds and Shutters. Proctor, spelled like doctor. ProctorDrapery.com. You're listening to the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
Thinking about our fortune, and I decided that we're really not to blame. For the love that's deep inside us now is still the same. And the sound we make together is the music to the story.
Good choice again there on this sunny Tuesday there, Estelle.
Some nice Moody Blues.
Yeah. I remember the Moody Blues are so interesting because we don't need to get into it every time you play music. I'm sorry, this is attractive to me. But I just remember as a kid, like Nights in White Satin always scared me. Like it was the only song they ever played from the Moody Blues. It seemed, was Nights in White Satin.
It did get a ton of airplay. And oddly enough, we had a guy at our campus radio station at St. Louis U because the song came out, In Search of a Lost Chord. Was that the album? I believe that it was on. And when I was at the campus station in the early 70s, mid 70s, my buddy Tim McNulty, who did 7 to Midnight, would sign off every single night with Nights in White Satin. And I still remind him of that today whenever I see something posted by him online. I'll go, hey, Tim, I played Nights in White Satin for you just to let you know.
Yeah. I wouldn't normally just listen to it, though, like as a song, It's kind of like listening to The Day the Music Died. It's like I don't need to hear that song again, really. I really don't.
Oh, American Pie.
American Pie, yeah. It's like, there's always the guy like at karaoke who decides he's going to pick the longest song to play, do the karaoke.
Yes.
But have you ever seen like the Moody Blues, though, in concert? I've never seen them in concert, but what's interesting is their music is so good, and they're like the stiffest guys I've ever seen on a musical stage. They don't even look like they belong. Looks like me, up there. But man, are they good? So anyway,
Justin Hayward and the band.
Justin Hayward, is he dead or is he okay?
I think he might still be with us.
Oh, good.
I hope so.
That's good to know. I don't want to kill that buzz. All right, so you know what the news media always has certain code, to use. One of the more evident ways of the media code that we saw was the use of Maryland man for this foreign Hispanic Venezuelan rapist wife beater, and they call him Maryland man because they didn't even want to call him an illegal alien or even an undocumented immigrant. They wanted to call him Maryland man because it would basically just simply gloss over everything about him. So it's basically a lie. But the news media has been doing that for a long time. So a while back, remember spring break in Miami? And it was kind of like spring breakers, go crazy or fight or what have you. And we all know that, okay, maybe they are spring breakers, but there is a different way to describe them. But they would decide not to do that. Fast forward to over the weekend. And this is a story about over 300 youth who brawled at a mall.
They pass me the one with the button on it. So I'll be running when they run it to us.
Just 300 youth people. We're just youth.
What is going on? In all my years, I have never seen a mother.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's 300 youth. And, of course, I know you wouldn't necessarily want to describe them as like 300 black kids, but that's what it was. And it's funny because, yeah, maybe they don't want to do that, but they wouldn't do that if it were different. I guarantee you, I'm just telling you, I'm not trying to be like a racial guy, although I'm not really scared of bringing those topics up because we know what the truth is. And a lot of people don't want to talk about the double standard of the news media when it comes to describing certain people and how the news media glosses over the reality of who certain people are. Not that it makes much of a difference, but it does make a difference apparently when it's somebody else. So I guarantee you, if this were 300 white kids brawling at a mall, they would not be described as 300 youth. I can almost assure you of that. And that's why it gets so crazy sometimes in trying to keep up with the news media and how it glosses over pretty much everything. It's kind of like when you can tell, and this happens in the newspaper and everything else, you can tell when a perpetrator of a crime is black. And it's because they don't mention that person's race. And when they're white, you tell they'll tell you exactly what the race of the person is. I mean, sometimes even when somebody is like these escaped convicts, these escaped guys in Louisiana, you know how long it took for the news media to even give us a description of these individuals, their race, everything else. As far as I know, I think there was a couple of white guys in there. What I'm saying is they'll almost refuse to describe who the people are. They'll refuse to describe, even if it means maybe helping people understand who they were. And it's so weird and so crazy how the news media just glosses over things. And when they're dishonest about just little things like that, what else are they dishonest about? I told you about the long time ago when I worked at Channel 4, how we were ordered by the mayor's office. And to this day, I can't believe that the 3 major stations in St. Louis complied with the mayor's demands, Shamel's demands, that we not use the term North St. Louis anymore. That we only go by the names of neighborhoods that, of course, nobody knows. So, Meanwhile, and something neighborhood. And, of course, that just meant people would watch the TV and go, where the hell's that? Because, of course, if it's North, it was designed to kind of keep the obvious from being apparent. And I'm not saying that there's anything ultimately that we would do about it, but it's weird how they try so hard not to describe certain, and I'm not quite sure what they're trying to cover for or what they're trying to do with that, or how they're trying to, why they're trying to manipulate it so much. I know why they called him Maryland Man, because they don't want to face up to the absolute truth about who this guy is. And so it's basically, it's not only lying by omission, it's lying by gloss over or by using sparing words that don't give you the entire truth. As I promised you, by the way, in moving a little bit over here, this is from a buddy of mine, and from yesterday's discussion about the absolute abdication of the people that we pay on an ongoing basis. And we pay them because they basically force us to pay taxes and other things, and our utility bills and everything else. And we don't have a choice over whether or not we pay those utility bills or we pay our taxes. So they just take our money. And it's interesting how I separated yesterday the behavior of people who already have our money compared to the people and behavior of people who don't have our money yet. So tree companies who don't have our money yet, oh my goodness, the streets are overrun with tree company trucks because they're hungry for business and they want to help people, Hans's Tree Service among them, and they don't have their money yet. And so, my goodness, they're really pell-melling. They're working hard to get your money. Juxtapose that with the activity of your government people, your street departments, or your government regulated people, Ameren, who already have your money, and you see a marked difference in the rapidity with which they operated to restore power or to fix street traffic lights or what have you. Very, very slow. And so I got a message from a buddy of mine, and he listened to the show. A lot of times people will listen, like I hear from one, and this one person tends to listen to my show in the morning. He likes to download it and then listens to it in the morning, which I appreciate. So he sent this message. He said, I just listened to what you said, and a person I know works in the traffic light division for the county. They are short-staffed because the county refuses to pay comparable and competitive wages, so people don't want to work there. They were all ready to go out over the weekend, and their supervisors told them to not go into work unless they were called in by dispatch. That did not happen. I don't know if they were waiting on Hammering to restore power. Ameren, he must have been voice texting. Waiting on Ameren to restore power to a number of signals, but it's a mess, and unfortunately, I can't say it's the workers' fault. I can also tell you, I made sure I let him know I wasn't blaming the workers. Yeah, you guys knew exactly who I was blaming. And anyway, and our roads are crap. The county keeps delaying budgets and citing budget shortfalls for fixing the roads. And I don't know where those. I'd like to know where our tax dollars are really going. They're not providing the services that we pay for. So that's what I was saying, and that's the inside skinny on that. And I guarantee you, nothing has changed with the amount of money they're taking from us in taxes or in rates. In fact, they consistently go up. And so, of course, you have the assessor's office continuing to inflate the property values so they get more money in property taxes and everything else. And when it comes time to truly help us, it doesn't happen. And you know how bad you can imagine how bad it is when even in the Trump administration, FEMA has to be called out by our 2 U.S. senators to do something and act on something and get something done. That's just how deeply rooted the laziness is of our government structures and our government regulated structures, whether they are federal or local. And so anyway, I wanted to pass that along to you after yesterday's discussion about all that was going on. And there are still people without power. I know some people in Brentwood, and they're without power. The good news is they're leaving for Mexico today. So good time to leave for Mexico. Your power's out. Take off. Enjoy your time and wait for them. But of course, still, it's not very comfortable because you're leaving with your power out and you're leaving stuff in the fridge and in the freezer and all that kind of stuff. So it's a mess, and they really don't seem to care. And all I'm telling you, like I talked with Matthew Hicks, is next time when there are hearings or when there are rate hike hearings or whatever, this stuff needs to be brought up, and we shouldn't forget it. And just thank goodness for all the good-hearted, normal humanoids out there. So, I was looking at, we have Fox Business on here, and Stell, you can see Charles Payne. He always has those jackets and those really fancy suits and everything else. And I was thinking to myself, the only drawback of having those really crazy suits you wear on TV is that you really can't wear them twice. I mean, I guess you can, but you got to wait a long time before you wear them twice, because every single suit the guy wears is really hugely noticeable. But that just means you kind of have to keep feeding that suit beast and getting more and more, because then people will notice. They're so outlandish that people will notice, like when you wear it again, even like the next week or later in the month. So Charles Payne is trapped in his own world of crazy suits.
On the local end, I always think of Frank Cusimano whenever someone mentions that, because Frank has all these snazzy designs, and he always makes a comment about getting them at Sam Cavados. Is that right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sam Cavados. Yeah.
Yeah. He'll always mention that. Well, not always, but every once in a while he'll mention it. And then whenever I see him again on a sportscast, sure enough, he's got a different suit on, and he must have a big closet.
Yeah. Zipper Zepper used to be the same way. He used to have all of his clothes handmade for him, designed for him. He wasn't a snob, and neither is Frank, obviously.
No.
But they had their suits absolutely made. Has Sam Cavado still around?
Yes, I believe so.
Oh, I'll be darned.
I'm not sure if he himself is, but the business is.
Yeah. Does Frank have a hairpiece or no?
My guess is yes.
I thought so too. He actually gets away with it though.
Mhm.
You can tell, but you really can't tell.
You have to look very closely.
Yeah. Nice guy and really good at what he does.
Yeah, very sweet
as
guy,
well.
and married to a Greek gal. So
Yeah.
I'm partial.
There you go. All right. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Thank you so much for being with us. It's martini number 3 time, people. Okay. Hope you're catching up. Hope you're keeping up. It's Common Sense Radio.
And I decided that we're really not to blame for the love that's deep inside us now. It's still the same.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Hey, if you're 50 or older, you do not want to take any risk with your money. In fact, you want Leslie Consulting. My friend Bob Leslie can show you a gain and retain plan. Means that you never lose. Plus, you get up to a 20% bonus on day one. Leslie Consulting, a leader in brokerage and risk management. 314-721-0066. LeslieConsulting.com.
Need help navigating Medicare? The Westhoff Agency is here to assist.
Hi, I'm Debbie Westhoff with Westhoff Agency. We have helped hundreds of people just like you navigate Medicare options.
Our team of experts makes the process simple and stress-free.
Let me, Debbie Westhoff, be your personal Medicare guide, walking you through each choice to find the coverage that truly fits.
Visit westhoffagency.com for more information. That's westhoffagency.com.
Westhoff Agency is your trusted Medicare partner.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Hey, News Talk STL listeners, this is Levi, CEO of Reach Reproductive Health. There was a huge gap left when the biggest pregnancy center in St. Louis had to close their doors right after Amendment 3. But by God's grace and power, Reach has been able to step into that space. We have acquired Thrive centers and are continuing operations in greater St. Louis. I have a request for you. Would you pray and consider getting to know Reach more? We are here to see babies saved and families transformed by the power of Christ. Get to know us on our Reach community website, outreachforlife.org. That's outreachforlife.org.
Another RX Watch, brought to you by Onder Law.
Welcome back to RX Watch. This alert is disturbing.
Right. A while back, we learned that companies like Johnson & Johnson use a mineral called talc in baby powder and other products.
And studies show that talc, when used for feminine hygiene, can cause ovarian cancer.
Now listen to this. RX Watch has learned that the talc they use is being mined in China.
Right, and talc mined in China contains heavy metal contaminants like chromium and magnesium, which are known to cause cancer. But China doesn't care.
So China gets the jobs and we get contaminated talc in our baby powder.
And ovarian cancer.
Right. With their specialized tests, the medical team at Onder Law can help you know if your ovarian cancer was caused by talc.
Onder Law has helped women for years with free and confidential consultation. You need to call Onder Law's pharma attorneys at 1-800-RX-WATCH.
Call Onder Law at 1-800-RX-WATCH.
That's 1-800-RX-WATCH or go to rxwatch.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
Good afternoon, everyone, and this is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here. Pleased and privileged to be with you. Stel Ponticus over there, and happy Tuesday to all of you and yours. And did you know that Arby's now has hamburgers still?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. We got the meats. Well, I guess if you say that, then you have to really have hamburgers there.
No, I hadn't noticed that. I did see some advertising for Lion's Choice adding El Cubano sandwiches, which I thought was
I saw a billboard for that.
Yeah. Interesting. These will be branching out.
Yeah. Some people are really Lion's Choice people, and they're not Arby's people. It's kind of like the Android versus the iPhone. It's like some people will never eat an Arby's roast beef sandwich, and you have to have the Lion's Choice sandwich.
Yeah, which is a little more expensive.
Is it?
Yeah, Lion's Choice is more expensive than Arby's.
Yeah.
But the cooking style is different, and there are advantages to Lion's Choice, I believe. Coming out of the restaurant business as a kid, I would lean towards Lion's Choice just as a personal thing for me.
Yeah.
Although Arby's does have a good gyro.
They do?
They do have a good gyro.
I think it's good that that they have. You know what also is a good gyro is the someplace in the West County Mall at the food court there. A long time ago, I had one of those. It's pretty good. And so does the Olympia.
Oh, Olympia's awesome.
I love the gyro salad.
Oh my goodness. Anything at Olympia on McCausland is awesome.
Right on.
There's a reason why they've been in business for over 40 years.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what's funny too is that like normally you think, well, Arby's is, you know how I do about brands. I'm not going to tell the Hardee's fried chicken story. Scott's trying to get me egged on, like saying, Arby's is going to start selling chicken in the fall. Like, okay, maybe not. He's trying to get me going. But nonetheless, I think there is a fine line. I think Arby's introducing hamburgers is not, I mean, they could make hamburgers just as much as they can make the roast beef. And obviously, if somebody wants to go to Arby's, that means they can get a hamburger too, if they're not the roast beef people. So it kind of opens the avenues up for little individuals to have that variety. So good on them. You know, I'll have to try one sometime. I don't like a good old fashioned hamburger. I'll tell you that. All right. You know Charlie Hull? You've heard of Charlie Hull. She's the British golfer. And she was most famous probably for being at the U.S. Open and smoking on the golf course, which I really I really like that about her. She seems to be a very independent type of person. And I'll smoke on occasion. Some people like hate smoking and smokers and that kind of thing. And I get it. But there's something really kind of interesting about people who smoke when you wouldn't expect them to smoke.
Is smoking at the U.S. Did you say it was at the Open?
Yeah. I think it was like LPGA Open or whatever it was. Yeah.
Is it verboten? Is it?
No.
Is it?
No, she just took a cig out on the course. No,
okay.
I mean,
I guess it's okay.
Yeah. But I think it takes some guts. And I'll never forget the manager of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Oh, yeah.
And
Jim Leland.
Mm-hmm. He'd smoke in the dugout.
Yes.
Smoke cigarettes.
And you couldn't miss it. Whenever there was a TV shot in the dugout, there he was, puffing away.
I mean, you gotta, I don't know. You gotta like something about that, I mean, those are people who just don't give a rip and don't give a rip what other people think. And that's what what Charlie Hull said is that I don't care what people think about it. I'm going to do what I want to do. And I don't care what other people's opinions are about it. That was great. So there's a thing on Facebook called St. Andre Golf. And that is, they have a bunch of funny little things done by actors who portray golfers and things like that. And this is a really funny one. This is supposedly Charlie Hull on her smoking habits at a news conference.
I mean, yeah, it's not really something that's like a big deal to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've been having a cig a day since I was, 11?
11 years old?
No, 11 months. I've got a photo. Yeah.
Picture of her with a pacifier.
That's me. Got it right in the passy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a problem, though, is it? Right? It's like, I feel like I can stop at any time. I'm not addicted, right? I mean, if I was addicted, explain this. Yeah?
She takes out a cigarette, lights it up,
Mhm.
and spits it out into the
Not
audience.
addicted. Cigarettes aren't like a part of who I am. Do you get? Like, I don't get why like I'm a smoker. I mean, like that keeps being a narrative to me, but like for sake,
It's kind of funny. Just you guys like, oh, what is that again, Allman? And okay, all right, whatever. I thought it was funny. Okay, what else is funny? President Trump on the arrest of the Congresswoman LaMonica MacIver, who assaulted a federal agent outside of a New Jersey ICE facility. Imagine being a black elected congresswoman who cares more about protecting illegal aliens than black constituents. Because we all know, as a matter of fact, that the people in this country who have suffered mostly at the hands of illegal aliens would indeed be the black population. Because the illegal aliens always wind up more in the urban areas. They always wind up more squatting in the rec centers and in the places and in the streets and everything else. And they all wound up basically taxing any kind of resources that normally would go to people who need said resources. You saw the uprising of the black people in Chicago. So I still can't figure out how this LaMonica MacIver thought that it was a winning proposition for her, and especially her black constituents, who I don't know. I mean, aside from the elected black officials, are there any black people who really support illegal immigration? Are there? I mean, are there? I mean, and if there are, is there anybody out there who really has any kind of opinion about it, because they're so busy working and doing whatever? But I mean, are there black people who actually support illegal aliens? And why would that be? So, aside from the Democrat elected Congress people, that's the only thing. They're the only ones. So anyway, President Trump commenting on it.
With the arrest of a congresswoman, Democratic congresswoman.
Oh, give me a break. Did you see her? She was out of control.
Did you
those days are over. The days of woke. No, I didn't. The days of woke are over. That woman, I have no idea who she is. That woman was out of control. She was shoving federal agents. She was out of control. The days of that crap are over in this country. We're going to have law and order.
Mr. President, thank you very much. You campaigned.
Yeah. The days of that crap are over, and thankfully so. Meanwhile, Chris Van Hollen is back in the news again, and so is Secretary of State Marco Rubio. And this is such a classic, because this was during another hearing, and this was Van Hollen who decided he was going to go after Marco Rubio for the crackdown on the MS-13 gang members and the deportations and everything else. And this was really, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, Marco Rubio, of all the people who are new to the administration, is one of the more impressive, because of anybody, Marco Rubio has done such a great job of adapting to MAGA world. I mean, everybody else is kind of new and everything else. And so we're not part of that crew of individuals, for instance, who ran in 2015. So you've got Scott Walker, who's a good guy, but he's not really much of a player anymore. Jeb Bush is non-existent. Chris Christie doesn't exist anymore. And none of these goofballs, with the exception of Rand Paul, who was running at one point and still obviously a U.S. Senator. But of all that whole crew, the old school Bush, old Republican Party, McCain-Bush Republican Party.
The neocon, neoliberal part of the party.
The only person who was really kind of withstood the test of time, in my opinion, is Marco Rubio.
I would agree. And remember when Trump called him Little Marco?
Yeah. Yeah.
And all the snide comments that came, and they have patched up their relationship, and he's doing an awesome job.
And remember when Marco Rubio at one point when he said, well, what do you mean make America great again? We're already great. That was like the sum total of his response to President Trump and his policies. And so it was kind of like dumb. And also remember when Rubio was giving his speech and he was having to drink water. Remember he was doing the State of the rebuttal or whatever. And he was kind of like nervous and he was kind of losing a little bit. He's like kind of like the Rick Ankiel of politics there for a time, you know, because everybody thought, well, maybe he wouldn't be able to work this and survive this and figure it out. And he did. And so now, of course, he's Secretary of State, and he was a badass in this hearing when Chris Van Hollen said this.
And I have to tell you directly and personally that I regret voting for you for Secretary of State. I yield back.
May I respond?
You may sit.
Well, first of all, your regret for voting for me confirms I'm doing a good job based on what I know.
Well, that's
about
just
your
a
record
flippant
and what you
statement,
stand
Mr.
for.
Secretary.
Can I respond, Mr. Chairman?
You
Mr.
may.
Chairman?
I didn't
Okay.
ask.
Senator,
question.
please let the secretary.
I'd be happy to, but then I can respond to his.
You listen to Ben Holland. He's such a little puss. And, you know, Rubio answers him, and suddenly, you know, he starts to interrupt him because Van Hollen is your typical grown-ass man who acts like a little baby, little lefty, spoon-fed baby. And he's your typical white liberal male who doesn't have any guts. And he doesn't like it when Rubio starts to go back at him, but he's not going to be able to control it, you see.
Well, first of all, your regret for voting for me confirms I'm doing a good job based on what I know.
Well, that's
about
just
your
a
record and
flippant
what you
statement,
stand
Mr.
for.
Secretary.
Can I respond, Mr. Chairman?
You
Mr.
may.
Chairman?
I didn't
Okay.
ask.
Senator,
question.
please let the secretary.
I'd be happy to, but then I can respond to his.
Your time's
response.
up, Senator, and willfully used, I might add.
Well-
Your remarks do not represent the view of this committee.
Well, Mr. Chairman.
Secretary, please.
Well, I'd like to. I can't respond to everything he said because much of these are untrue, but I'll go through a few. First of all, I'm actually very proud of the work we've done with USAID. For example, I don't regret cutting $10 million for male circumcisions in Mozambique. I don't know how that makes us stronger and more prosperous as a nation.
I raised
don't regret
Sudan, Mr.
psychosocial support services.
I
for
raised
USAID.
Sudan, Mr. Secretary.
Can I
not
respond, Mr.
Mozambique.
Chairman, or do I?
Senator, I'd ask you to suspend. You had 7 straight minutes.
I chose to
railing on-
use my time that way, Mr. Chairman. That's my right to
Please
use my time
suspend,
that way.
Secretary Rubio.
Well, I can go on. I mean, there's other things here. We spent $227,000 for Big Cat's YouTube channel from USAID. We spent $14 million for social cohesion in Mali, whatever the hell that means. So I can go on and on. I got the list here, and there's more. I didn't even bring the whole list. In the case of El Salvador, absolutely. Absolutely. We deported gang members, including the one you had a margarita with. And that guy is a human trafficker, and that guy is a gangbanger, and the evidence is going to be clear.
And real quickly, though, too, Rubio has this speaking cadence that sounds like it's from a 1940s film noir movie, doesn't he?
Like an Edward G. Robinson?
Yeah, exactly. He's got this the way of speaking very confidently, but it's kind of like an old school way of speaking. I really can't really nail it down. But if you looked at like a lot of old movies, back in the day, he sounds exactly like that. It's pretty crazy, and he's obliterating this guy.
In the days to come,
Mr.
you're going to see
Chairman,
who you went to
look,
defend.
I'm sorry,
please,
Mr. Chairman.
Secretary Rubio has the floor.
Mr. Chairman, he can't make unsubstantiated
Senator,
comments like that.
Secretary Rubio has the floor. You
Secretary
had your time.
Rubio should take that testimony to the federal court in
Senator,
the United States because
well,
he hasn't done it under
You
oath.
mad, bro? Huh? You mad, bro?
Here's another point, okay? There is a division in our government between the federal branch and the judicial branch. No judge in the judicial branch cannot tell me or the president how to conduct foreign policy. No judge can tell me how I have to outreach to a foreign partner or what I need to say to them. And if I do reach to that foreign partner and talk to them, I have under no obligation to share that with the judiciary branch. Just like a judge cannot order me to negotiate with a foreign minister of Russia, they cannot order me to negotiate with a foreign minister or the president of El Salvador. And if I did negotiate with them, which we have responded to them, and we've told them, we've had communications with the president of El Salvador. I am under no obligation under our division of powers in this country and to share with the judicial branch how I conducted diplomacy of the United States. It would actually be counterproductive. If I started sharing with courts or frankly with the media, my conversations with foreign leaders and all of their details, no foreign leader would talk to me again and we would break trust with them. So I have complied with every court order. What I won't comply with is an order to disclose what I'm saying and what we're talking about with a foreign leader, because then they won't talk to me. Diplomacy doesn't work that way. About the student visas, let me say this. I don't deport anybody, and I don't snatch anybody. The State Department does not have officers in the street snatching everybody. What I do is revoke visas. And it's very simple. A visa is not a right. It is a privilege. People apply for student visas to come into the United States and study. And if you tell me that you're coming to the United States to lead campus crusades, to take over libraries and try to burn down buildings and acts of violence, we're not going to give you a visa.
Is that what Ms. Ostork did?
We're not going to give you a visa.
Is that what she
And if
did?
you do
Come
that,
on, Mr. Secretary.
and every single
You're
one of
just
these
blowing
cases, the
smoke
factors
here
are
now.
different.
Senator,
The bottom line is, if you're
Senator,
coming here to stir up trouble on our campuses, we will deny you a visa. And if you
Does
have
the
a
First
visa
Amendment
and we find
apply
you,
to
we will
people
revoke
living in
it.
the United
And
States?
we're going to do more. There are more coming. We're going to continue to revoke the visas of people who are here as guests and are disrupting our higher education facilities. People are paying money. These kids pay money to go to school, and they have to walk through
Writing
a bunch
an
of
op-ed
lunatics
to the
who are
tough
here on student
newspapers
visas.
disrupting the
Simple
foreign
as that.
policy of the United
I want to
States.
do more. I hope we can
That's
find more of these people.
pathetic, Mr.
In fact, the other day, some guys led a riot. I forgot what university it was. And I asked, please, can you find the arrest records of all the people that were arrested at that riot at that campus? Because if any of them have a visa, we're going to revoke it.
I feel so much safer.
All right,
when you lock up
let's-
people like Ms. Oster.
911, I'd like to report a murder, please. It was just, I wanted to keep hearing. I mean, almost 4 minutes. I'm sorry, but you had to keep hearing that because Rubio was not going to put up with any crap. And the only thing I really always like to see, I love to be there, is to see those two after the hearing.
I will gladly admit that Rubio is 1,000% better than I thought he was going to be. I did not expect him to be as qualified as he is, to do as great a job as he's doing. I think he's doing an awesome job.
I think he's really grown into the role. And I think one of the really key parts of this is that I think you can tell, and I'm not quite sure whether or not this observation is correct, that Rubio isn't being micromanaged and obviously doesn't have anybody kind of getting in his way. And sometimes you can tell when people are being micromanaged or whatever. And it seems like President Trump has given him a great amount of trust and a great amount of breadth in terms of how he approaches things. And it's probably made Rubio a lot more confident and comfortable.
And I think Trump has grown in his trust for Rubio so much, like you've mentioned, he's given him all these new jobs. He's got all these, granted, they're temporary jobs in the administration, but he's got his main gig as Secretary of State. But then he's got all these little side things going on because Trump says, here, do this for me for a while, do that for me for a while. That's putting a lot of trust in the guy, and I think he's done a great job.
And it seems like Rubio likes to fight, which is really kind of cool. You know, I think he's got a little bit of an edge to him after being discounted and counted out and whatever they made fun of him doing, whatever. And so, you know, he's got a little bit of warpath in him, which I really like. This is Common Sense Radio on this Tuesday. About to get a little rainy later on, but I'm sure Tony Colombo and Tim Jones and Christopher Arps will keep you updated on all the things you need to know about in case there is some severe weather. So we'll be on that for you here.
By the way, I did check the forecast. It has gone up to about 40% chance for rain. Later this afternoon.
Much.
So still there is a possibility for some decent downpours.
Yeah, there we go. It's Common Sense Radio, News Talk, STL. Jamie Allman here and Stell. Really happy to be with you.
So you got to let me know. Should I stay or should I go? It's always tease, tease, tease. You're happy when I'm on my knees. One day it's fine and next it's black. So if you want me on your back,
I think you're a little confused.
News, analysis, opinion.
I've got something to say and I can't hold it any longer.
101.9 and 94.1.
You won't hear the truth anywhere but here. News Talk STL.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, time for you to get your sleep on and make sure that your sleep is the best sleep you could possibly get. Dr. Joe Ogile, my personal sleep doctor and the personal sleep doctor of so many other people in my listening world, is so good at what he does. He has this expansive sleep clinic in South County that is beautiful. It's like a little boutique hotel. So when you go there, if you choose to go there, you don't have to, because he's got all kinds of take-home apparatus for you that will ultimately make you cured as well. He just has to download the info. So he's got monitors for sleep apnea and things like that you could take home with you, and you sleep, and then it's kind of you wired to you like a watch or something like that, and then they just download that info and help you out. Otherwise, you can sleep there, and you go there overnight, and they monitor your sleeping and what you're doing and everything else. And they can really see. He's got a great staff, and these people are there overnight. People overnight staff, obviously, and they just kind of monitor. So if you're insomnia, if there's an insomnia problem, if there's a sleep apnea problem, restless leg syndrome, things that you really don't always know what would be going on during the night. And then you wake up and you think maybe you've had a good night's sleep, whatever, but for some reason, right around now, you're 2:00 in the afternoon or whatever, you're suddenly falling asleep. And that's probably because you're not getting the kind of sleep you might be thinking you are getting. So check it out right there on the web. It's ClaytonSleep.com. That's ClaytonSleep.com.
Success. It's discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us that comes before all recognition. It's the best in each of us, made better by the best in all of us. Whatever success looks like to you, Stifel is invested in yours. That's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management firms in the country. So whether you're an advisor or an investor, choose Stifel, where success meets success. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Hey, it's Vic, and I'm here with Kathy Connor at Connor Roofing. Kathy, what makes Connor Roofing different?
Hey, Vic. I'm glad that you asked. I think that what really sets Connor Roofing apart is our relationship with our customers. It's very important to us to develop that trust with the homeowner. This is what has allowed us to serve our friends and our neighbors in the St. Louis area for 30 years. Whether we are doing a roof or a gutter repair or even a full replacement, you can count on Connor for quality service and workmanship.
Thanks, Kathy. To find out more, visit them at connorroofing.com. That's CONNER roofing.com.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
Columbo and Company.
Trump just got a big win on immigration from the Supreme Court. We'll get the details Tuesday with Susie Moore from Red State. Plus, we'll talk to Crane Durham from nothingbutTruth.com.
Live and local, weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL. The Allman Report on News Talk STL.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Allman Report. Jamie Allman here. Really happy to be with you. Stell Ponticus. I'm sorry, meteorologist and otherwise disaster correspondent. Stell Ponticus over there. So what do you got, bud?
Yeah, I got a quick little update from the city. And this refers back to the situation we had on Friday with the storms coming through and the sirens not going off. It was just announced within the past half hour that Mayor Spencer has signed an executive order to clarify the implementation of protocols for receiving notifications and this is an interesting word to use, operationalizing, something to that effect. Severe weather. Yeah, I've never seen that word used in a sentence before.
Let me see that. What was that in some kind of publication?
Operationalizing.
That sounds like something Al Sharpton would say.
It does.
That's operationalizing. Don't have you. Where is that? Where is that? Where are you reading that from?
Look in the first paragraph.
Wait, but where are you reading it from?
Channel 4
just
issued the story. See at the end of the first paragraph? Operationalize. I can't even pronounce it. It's such a goofy word.
Yeah. Second paragraph?
First paragraph. End of the first paragraph. See where it says
the protocols for receiving notifications and operationalizing. So this, you got to be kidding me.
Who wrote that?
It's actually written by somebody at Channel 4.
So keep that in mind.
Al Sharpton's niece.
So when they do a test of the system at 3 p.m. this afternoon, it's just a test. And you know, folks who have not heard this update at all are going to think that we've got more tornadoes coming. That's not the case. They're just testing the system at 3 p.m.
So if you hear the sirens, just remember, it's only the city operationalization as it's hiding. That's it. The system.
This is like the irony of Birmingham, Alabama today, updating their NOAA weather radio system. As storms are coming through southern portions of the country, they decide on this date, yeah, we're going to update NOAA, so they have no NOAA weather radio in Birmingham, Alabama today because they're updating the system. That's really smart. Who decided to do it right in the middle of a storm season?
Lloyd is pointing out that operationalize is used in the military all the time, so shame on us. Well, he didn't say shame on us, but now Lloyd is sufficiently embarrassed us, and now we're anti-military and unpatriotic. Traitors. I'm just kidding, Lloyd. But no, it just doesn't sound right in normal vernacular, you know. But I guess when you think about the military, all right, gentlemen, ladies, or soldiers, it's time to operationalize.
Can't you just say implement or something similar to that? You're implementing the siren system again. All right.
Yeah.
We're done.
Or I guess it technically operational is on. I can't say it. Maybe I'm just mad because I can't say it. You know, Lloyd, it's rolling right off his tongue and his typewriter there. He knows exactly what it is. And so anyway, I'm glad they're doing that. And it is true. It's like they're gonna test sirens right when there's in the middle of
another chance for storms this afternoon.
Weather forecast. But I guess maybe that's the best time to do it, you know.
But I guarantee you some folks are going to be out there going, oh my gosh, tornadoes are coming. Sorry, we're just testing our system.
I guess it's better that at least they're doing that.
Mhm.
All right. This is great news, people. So this is from the category of promises made, promises kept. And here's the deal. And you've noticed that it's so weird. It's like, you know how you're watching Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, and you're with Yul Perkins. No, is it Perkins? Yul Perkins? Yul Perkins. Used to watch that right before 60 Minutes, or after, I can't remember. So anyway, and you'd see like some hyena or something going near a like a lion cub or something like that, and then suddenly Marlin. Thank you, Lloyd. I should know what a sweet guy Marlin Perkins was. Huh. Anyway, so he would. So the hyena's going towards a little lion, and then suddenly out from nowhere comes the lion mom, the lioness, and a hyena just goes away and is on to something else. And so that's what the news media does with a lot of these stories is they try something and they nose around in it, and then suddenly they're chased off by the truth. And they don't come back to it. They just go on to whatever their next lie is. Great example of that would be this made-up story about the impending recession, depression, inflation, high prices, all this kind of stuff that would beset Americans in the wake of all the tariffs and all this kind of stuff. They kept going for a little while with it. Yep. Until the numbers started to show up that showed that actually they were lying because they had no basis in science for their determination of exactly what was going to be happening. So they basically made it up. And once the reality came around, they just stopped talking about it. Like the hyena just stopped going after the baby lion after it was caught and just went on to something else. And that's what they do. They go ahead and they start with all this stuff, see how far it can stick, you know, and then if it doesn't, they just move on to another story. That's kind of what criminals do, you know. They nose around neighborhoods and see whether there's an open door, and if there is, they'll go in. If there's not, they'll go to the next house. That's kind of what the media does. They operate, honestly, like a bunch of 2-bit gangs of burglars, except they're burglarizing the truth and common sense. Anyway, here's the news. Memorial Day set for the lowest gas prices in more than 20 years. Gas Buddy. You guys have been on Gas Buddy before. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
a fuel savings platform, is announcing that it is forecasting the national average price of gasoline to be $3.08 a gallon on Memorial Day. That would make it the cheapest. It's still expensive, but I mean, we should be looking towards $2.80, but that's okay. That would make it the cheapest since 2021. After adjusting for inflation, it would be the lowest since 2003. And it's not expected to be short-lived. Prices of gasoline expected to average around $3.02 per gallon between Memorial Day and Labor Day, so this summer, with prices falling below $3 on some days. So much for the lie. That's all there is to it. Indeed, common sense tends to catch up with the people who don't have it, and the truth tends to catch up with the people who lie. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Stel Ponticus, thank you so much, and thank you all. Have a wonderful rest of your blessed Tuesday.
Chris Arps here, and after Becky and I leave church on Sunday, we head down the street to Capriotti's to grab a classic meatball sub. And of course, for dessert, I get a giant chocolate chip cookie. I love Capriotti's, and you will too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
Hi, I'm Helene Tobler, culinary nutritionist at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Here we do practical wellness. Dr. Randy and I have a common sense approach to healthcare. My passion is helping our members enjoy better nutrition because food is medicine. We approach problems with a lifestyle foundation and cutting-edge medical tool chest. At Body of Health, it's about being your healthiest you. If you want to experience healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Hey, Tony Colombo here, inviting you to the Bluff City Outdoors Show Fishing Pentathlon, a one-of-a-kind multi-species fishing tournament Sunday, June 8th at Carlisle Lake. There'll be several side pods, but to win, your team has to catch all 5 species of fish with the highest total weight. This unique tournament gives fishermen of all levels a chance to walk away a winner. Get more info and reserve your spot now by going to BluffCityOutdoors.com and searching tournament entry, or just go to the events tab on the Bluff City Outdoors Facebook page. The Fishing Pentathlon, brought to you by Great Harvest Bread Company in Maplewood.
As we pause to honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom this Memorial Day, let us remember their courage and dedication.
Words cannot measure the depth of their devotion, the purity of their love, or the totality of their courage.
A reminder from local businesses who support our veterans.